You were sitting with the other day guards in the security office of the daycare, while the toddlers were taking a nap and Moon was diligently keeping them asleep. Quietly, everyone was staring at the small security monitor. Occasionally, the moon-faced daycare attendant leered at them, but he was keeping quiet. At the old pizzaplex, Moon had been kept in a permanent state of being offline. Or, well, he had been retired. This was due to him being quite frightening to the toddlers. However, by simply raising the minimum age of the daycare to be more akin to a kindergarten, and adding an additional human employee in the form of a nanny, really helped ease the waves. And since the new pizzaplex sold itself as being better, this was a business expense the owner of the new plex and Fazbear Entertainment had to swallow. But why was everyone here not scattered around, helping the people currently being customers? Well, Brian, leader of the day guards, who was ordered to work here after the old one was destroyed, had set himself up with a microphone and a tiny spy camera, as he was attending a meeting with the bigwigs. The daycare, meanwhile, was the closest attraction to the meeting room, so here was the best connection. But what was this all about? It was about the upcoming autumn special events. One of many promotional events Fazbear had, but the events happening in autumn, and specifically the Christmas event, well, they were always the best and got the most revenue. So everyone was super curious as to what they would be. Wait, where are Johnny, Dimitri, and Bob? Whispered one guard. They're hyper-focusing on their job right now to allow us this little spy session, you whispered in response. The guard raised his brow. Oh, really? Why'd they skip on this? Dimitri is too stuck up and disciplined to skip. Johnny doesn't care, and Bob, well... You looked at a female guard named Stephanie, with a look that said more than 1,000 words. And the man you spoke to chuckled, making Moon glare at him in response. He waved as an apology. I can barely hear anything, whispered someone else, and without asking he increased the volume. Moon's head instantly shot towards the guards, his eyes turning dangerously red. Sorry. The meeting was going smoothly. Until... We need something new, said one of the higher-ups. We're already repeating 2 events. And sure, the Halloween event is a classic, I completely understand that, but do we really have to do the pumpkin patch event again? It's basically a lighter version of the basic Halloween one. That was the sort of vibe currently ghosting around the group. You sighed after every sentence they spoke. Hey, why do you keep sighing? You rolled your eyes. I suggested a brilliant event and no one fucking cares. I told Brian, but he hasn't brought it up yet. And just then, as you were interrupted by Brian's voice. What about, let's call it, the endless summer event? You know, just so we can keep some stuff going that we already had. You sighed again, but this time out of relief. You had suggested the endless summer event weeks ago to the pothead, and he seemed interested, but one day he snapped and just said, if you keep annoying me with this, I'm not going to suggest it during the meeting. So it seemed as if you didn't annoy him too much after all. You need to make note as to how far you could go with him. Explain, employee. You could practically hear Brian smirk in response to that insult. Oh, Ron, you know I'm more than just an employee. In fact, weren't you the one who drank himself almost into a coma on my birthday 2 months ago? The executive blushed hard and blew up his cheeks. Anyways, I know exactly how this event will go down, and since I'm the only one here who has this actually in the middle of the daily activities here at the Pizzaplex, I also know exactly what we need and what will sell. So, listen to me, please, gentlemen. The reason Brian could talk like this to, well, anyone at Fazbear Entertainment was the simple fact that he was the second son of the current owner of Afton Robotics. After the disappearance of William Afton and his entire family, Brian's dad had taken over, leading to a new era of prosperity, but also more a corporate mindset for Afton Robotics. Probably half of attack drones currently used by the US military had the Afton Robotics branding. Brian presented the event exactly how you explained it, maybe even a little better. You were surprised. How was this guy so good at this? It was based on your childhood and how you had spent the last week of summer holidays at an authentic cowboy ranch experience and farm. Well, in reality, the thing was just a small holiday resort with a bunch of horse stables and cowboy-themed decorations, but hearing the suggestion of putting the animatronics in farming attire and selling an authentic cowboy barbecue experience to the customers, it just seemed simple, easy, and quite lucrative, especially for the more conservative customers. A few days had passed and you were in a quite good mood. Your suggestion was sold brilliantly by Brian, especially because, even though you didn't know it, two of the higher-ups grew up on farms, so their votes were instantly on the bucket. The others agreed due to how cheap this event would be for Fazbear. It was just removing a few spices out of the chili con carne from El Chip, adding a little bit more tomato sauce to create the totally new and never-before-sold Fazbear Cowboy Stew. Then designing 3 different barbecue burgers, that once again were just regular burgers with barbecue sauce and an extra beef patty, and putting cheap steak on the menu as well. Decorations were hung up and the animatronics placed on trucks to be transported to an actual ranch to take promotional photos with them for the event. And that's when things became entertaining for you. Because Brian put you on guard duty for that. After all, it was your idea, and now your responsibility to make it go smoothly as possible. That was mean, but gritting your teeth, you accepted it. You drove behind the Fazbear truck on its journey to the farm. The city vista slowly gave way to the romantic countryside. Or, well, romantic to you and other city folk. You stopped next to the truck an hour later, and as you stepped outside, you just had to, wow. You found yourself on an abandoned little farm. The silo looked old and a little rusty. The barn's doors were just gone, and the house on the property looked a little faded too. You stepped next to the truck driver as the rest of the convoy arrived. 2 photographers, 3 Fazbear mechanics, and on-duty engineer Kevin, who looked very excited to be here. "Isn't this a little spooky for a promotion?" you asked the truck driver, who just shrugged as he proceeded to unload the animatronics. But after repeating your concern to Kevin, he too just shrugged. "It's just the outside. A few employees came here 2 days ago and cleaned the place up. Inside, it looks good enough for a photo shooting. Anything else we fix with Photoshop." And so the day began. As the guard, you were really only here to ensure safety and no one was stealing stuff, which was unbelievably boring. You weren't even allowed to take a leak, or to doze off despite the drabness of it all. The photographers were paid handsomely, and they really worked for that money, though they did seem to have a slight obsession with Roxanne, who had been put in a beautiful white thin wavy summer dress and a white summer straw hat. She looked absolutely stunning. Freddy and Monty were both wearing overalls, with the words enthusiasm printed on their chests. The pun was amazing, just like their performances. Monty riding a tractor was a sight to behold, and Freddy with a wooden pipe in his mouth, carrying a scythe on his back, well, it was oddly intimidating. Wait. You suddenly jolted up, and while the photographers kept making pictures, the engineers looked at you. Where's Son? The daycare attendant had been here. You saw him be taken off the truck in cowboy pants and wearing a cowboy hat, but he vanished some time after his first photo shoot, next to some bottles. And now he was gone. You had just assumed he was being photographed somewhere else, maybe the wild cornfield glowing around the farm, but eventually you just realized, wait, both photographers were right there taking pictures of the glam rocks. And that's when a wonderful day turned into an absolute nightmare. Let's not worry about the glam rocks, said Kevin hastily, as he pushed you and the mechanics into the building. The daycare attendant is a twitchy machine. He could be anywhere, but he cannot leave the perimeter of the property. That's the only good thing about it. Everyone looked at each other in confusion, and Kevin deadpanned. I tried to explain this to you too. He meant the mechanics. Because Son is programmed to always be within viewing distance of the truck. The group owed, you included. Right now the Glamrocks and Son see the truck as a sort of substitute pizzaplex, until they return to the real thing. So you can't be too far. Kevin looked around the small kitchen of the farm building. The four of you were in. Then he pointed at you. Dagard, you check the building. Make sure to look thoroughly through the basement and the attic. While he is programmed to avoid shadows, he could unintentionally maybe fall down the stairs and turn into Moon. You nodded. Understood. The rest of you follow me outside. We check the field and the barn. There was no better plan, no better idea anyone had. So your group split up. You looked through the kitchen's window at the Glamrocks, as a new scene was set up for them to pose. This would still take a while, so you felt confident in this little endeavor, and that this faux pas wouldn't mean that you'd lose your job. You would even think this was a fun game of hide and seek, if it wasn't so tense. First, you checked the basement. It was dark, dusty, and moist here. Obviously, the crew didn't clean here. Not expecting to take photos down in the deep dark. Instead of exploring, you just sat down at the bottom of the steps and listened carefully. Moon would definitely think this was his daycare if he awoke here, so most definitely he tried to clean it up. But that wasn't the case, and relieved you sighed. Got back into the light, and just in case you locked the basement so you never had to peer into its creepy darkness again. Ugh, you definitely have nightmares from this. The rest of the building was a bust too. The master bedroom, living room, and oddly terrifying children's room all were empty. Even the crawl space beneath the kitchen also led to nothing. Fuck. There was only one place left. The attic. This was where your problems began. The hatch leading to the room beneath the roof was connected via a ladder to the second floor. And you were afraid of heights. Deeply so. Stairs were no problem as long as they had handles and weren't these annoying, scary minimalist stairs that were just wooden slabs sticking out of the wall, allowing you to see between the steps. God damn it, Brian, why did you have that in your stupid apartment? You whimpered as you touched the ladder. Inhaling deeply, you shouted, Sun or Moon, are you up there? From the distance, you heard them. A relatively clear, muffled yes. Fuck, you shouted. Biting your lower lip, you quickly huffed and puffed, climbing the ladder as quickly as you could, using the do it quick, don't think about it approach. And there he was, at the opposite end of the attic, sitting, twiddling his thumbs, in the middle of the light, coming from the only window of the attic. "Hey," he croaked. "Son?" You exhaled breathlessly as you crawled towards him on all fours. There wasn't a lot of space here, and you were scared of hitting your head on one of the wooden beams. "I'm sorry, Miss Nightguard. I wanted to explore and I got stuck here." "It's okay," you said as you sat down next to him. "They said they got all the pictures they needed of me and I could do whatever I want, and, well, I wanted to play house. And when I moved in with my little family, I wanted to bring all the unneeded furniture into the attic, and then I got stuck here." Okay, so he was a hardcore player when it came to playing house. I got stuck here because I felt moon gripping and rattling in my brain, and I panicked and I crawled forward into the light to put him back to sleep, but I'm stuck here. If I crawl into the shadow, he awakens again, and I'm scared." You nodded like a caring mother. "I see. So what now?" you asked carefully. He sniffled. "I don't know. I want to go home." You pulled out your walkie-talkie. "Kev, I found him. He's in the attic. Over." A few seconds of silence followed, and then you heard him say, giggly, "Say that again, but in a super terrible German accent." You deadpanned. That wasn't funny. "I can hear that deadpan. It's okay if you can't do a German accent." Annoyed, you lowered the walkie-talkie's volume. Ever the funny guy, Kevin now shouted into it. "You obviously just lowered the volume. I will keep asking you for this until you do it." "The animatronic is in the attic," you said eventually with a defeated tone. You could hear Kevin's laughter from outside. "Fuck you," you mumbled into the communication tool. "I'm afraid of heights. How am I gonna get down from here?" Stay up there with him, I guess? I'll tell you when we need to pack our things. Then we're just gonna grab you too." "Ass," you groaned. He stopped responding after that. Leaning your head against the glass, you closed your eyes. "Miss Guard." "What?" "Cursing is bad." You opened one eye to look at the animatronic. He was still wearing his cowboy hat and the leather pants. "Right. Sorry." "Do you want to play something?" "Play what?" "Play house?" You blinked. "How? We are stuck here. You don't want to leave the light, and I can't go down the stairs without help. Besides," you fold your hands in your lap, "I'm an adult. I don't play house. It's not something I like doing." "We could play house for adults then. Maybe you would enjoy that." You looked at him. Do you even know what that means? Adding 4 adults to something? He shrugged. "You could show me." He was oddly excited. Well, like practically any guard at the Plex working here. Well, like practically any guard at the Plex working there, so close with the machines, you did have dirty thoughts about the robots. Like everyone else. Occasionally. Everyone had them. The machines were just so damn lovable and human-like. But the daycare attendant? You were more into Freddy when it came to these thoughts. Though, how else could you spend the time up here if not experimenting a little? You forced a smirk. Okay then, you said, as you swung yourself onto the robot's lap. Thanks to the thick leather of his pants, it wasn't uncomfortable to sit like this, as his metal legs were quite well cushioned. You placed your hands on his shoulders, and curiously the robot tilted his head. You wanna play like an adult, right? Sure! You nodded. Okay. How about we start with a kiss? His head shot forward, pecking your cheek before retreating. That was just a little peck. I mean a kiss, you said patiently, before yourself leaning forward, placing your lips onto his ever-grinning plastic face. It was incredibly awkward, but then you forced yourself to moan. It was as if a switch had been flicked inside the robot, as he seemed to understand instantly what needed to happen next. His broad hands took hold of your hips. While he wasn't equipped to return the kiss, he definitely could put his hands to good use. Feeling his sleek, slender, cool fingers dance across your hot body made you shiver in delight. It felt great. And on your own you pushed your tongue out. And while all you did was just licking the engravings between his lips that technically made his teeth, you could hear the endoskeleton beneath shatter its. Sun Coot, definitely enjoying this. And you were surprised that he was programmed to not refuse these advances. You groaned. You know, Miss Nightguard, he moaned. I can vibrate for you if that's what you would like. Yes. He narrowed his eyes. Then do me a favor, Miss Guard, he purred. Lie down. Excitedly lie down on your back, and his hands quickly crawled up your legs like little spiders until reaching your belt. I would only like one more consent request. Do you really want me to do this, Miss Daycare? You bit your lower lip. Go ahead. Ride me, cowboy. Thank you to the people who are supporting me on Ko-fi. You guys are keeping me alive.